He's smoking a pipe.
Oh, I was going to say, I don't know what the reference is. Your prediction for this fight, main event, your backyard, this moment.
He fuck around be the 18th, first round knockout.
First round.
First round. He come to fight. If he come to fight and don't run like a bitch, because he got Andy Lee training him, so I already know what type of time Andy Lee's on. He going to be on that boxing shit. You know what I'm saying? He going to be running around the ring like a ballerina. If he comes to fight the first round, I'm knocking him out. Bad, like super bad. I'm knocking him out.
Do you think he stands in the middle with you and fights, as you say, in the first round, or do you think he boxes with you?
I don't know. Let's see, I talked a lot of shit, so.
Bro, how are you talking about boxing when you ran 12 rounds from Canelo?
Shut the fuck up.
You
bro, you gotta give your last fight. You knew you had to give, bro. Your trainer, that's why you fire your trainer. That's why you fire your trainer. You know why you fire your trainer? Because as soon as you lost, your trainer said, I mean, as soon as you won, or the draw, the trainer said, he already knew you got your ass whipped, bro. You was in Saudi, you got your ass whipped in your hometown. That's embarrassing, bro. You think you're gonna come to my shit over here? This is my shit. You think you're gonna come over here and fuck with me? You crazy? You're gonna have to kill me, bro.
Any last?
Literally, like, you gonna have to kill me. You and Andy Lee gonna have to jump in the ring, nigga. You crazy?
I think we'll leave it there. I think the best words have been said so far. So thank you all for coming out to our press conference. Remember, guys, July 12th, historic card from Louis Armstrong Stadium. Yeah, go ahead. Give it up. Give it up one time. Thank you.
Y'all can talk shit, too. Y'all can talk shit. CS is in the building. Terror Squad, Fat Joe. You know what I'm saying? They in the building. Shout out to Pistol Pete. Shout out to my team, man. You know what I'm saying? The family.
Shout out to everybody. Yeah. Once again, folks, do not miss out on this card. We have a stacked double main event, of course, but our undercard is also stacked. Thank you to His Excellency, to the Ring Magazine. We're going to get these guys faced off really quick. Get them right here. Get your cameras ready. But that is our press conference. I'm Wade Plemons. We'll see you guys next time.
All right, there you have it. Entertaining press conference. It's going down July 12th in New York City in this star-studded card, Barack. I mean, Edgar brought the energy today for sure, and we know he brings that often. But what's at stake is what's important. The Shakur Zepeda card, obviously highly anticipated. Before we even get into the Zepeda card, let's go right into what Edgar's energy and what he's bringing to Hamzah.
First of all, I want to say I'm glad that they're having it in Queens. We're going to have a lot of fans there. That's what I want to see. You got to talk about Edgar because he always brings the energy. He always brings the bravado. Look at him, holding his change right now. But this man right here, Hamzah Sheeraz, he's determined. He's serious. Edgar got the gun, the imaginary gun out. Because he throws those kind of bombs. He throws bullets. You know, so I like the confidence, but I like that he's fighting somebody who's not showing any kind of fear. And look how big he is.
Also very confident, Hamzah Sheeraz. I mean, look, he knows what he brought to the table. We saw what he was able to do against Ammo Williams in a very, very good middleweight. He's obviously had a good, close fight against Adames. But Barack, I feel like this is a new man in Hamzah Sheeraz. Like,
see, that's the thing. And that's why he's going to be dangerous because, yes, we could look at the Adames fight and say, all right, he has a lot of holes. Maybe he can't beat Berlanga. But I think because of that performance, that's a chip on his shoulder now. So now he's going to go back and train real, real hard. Like Shakur was saying, I'm going to train hard. I'm going to train my behind. Or that's what he's saying right now. So I think Berlanga's just going to get the best Shiraz there is.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think sometimes, in a lot of cases, fighters need a close fight. They need negative press, which motivates them to be the better fighter. Sometimes they come back as the best version of themselves.
Was that an automatic weapon that Berlanga just had?
It looked like it. It looks like he's going to bring that to the table. Look,
yeah.
Obviously, touching on Hamzah, he has a tall mountain to climb against Edgar Berlanga. But, you know, talking about Shakur, look, Shakur, I like what he said in the presser about, listen, I'm flattered by the comparison to the greats, but I don't let that get to my head. I need to show it in the ring and focus and work just as hard as I did if I was fighting my pro debut.
Yeah, I spoke to Shakur earlier, and he made me realize that he feels that he's a small 135 pounder. He didn't say it in that way, but he made me realize, but look, he doesn't look that small, but it doesn't matter. His heart is big. But just like Shiraz and Berlanga, This guy Zepeda is here to fight, and he don't care. And this is the kind of guy that Shakur will need if he wants to prove the naysayers wrong.
Of course, this is a guy that's going to throw so many punches, probably more punches than Shakur has ever faced. And here's Shakur taunting Zepeda. He's ready to prove to the world that, hey, listen, I'm not just a defensive skill boxer. I'm an entertainer.
Right.
And I'm trying to entertain everybody on July 12th here in New York City and Louis Armstrong Stadium. Barack, I love that venue. I love what His Excellency is doing at the Ring. This is the Ring Magazine 3, Barack. All historic events, and this is going to be no different.
Ring Magazine 3.
Yeah, no doubt.
I like that. I think it's going to be different. You know, obviously, because you got Puello on the card. You got some real bangers on the card, so this is going to be something that's very, very exciting. But everybody's going to have to come with their A game. I like that Turki Alashek interrupted this whole conference and said that there's an I. There's an I, meaning, because he doesn't like to hide stuff. That's why I love him.
Yeah.
He don't like to hide, and we don't know who's going next. He's trying to tell you, if this guy wins, this is what we want. If Shakur wins, we want him with Tank. If he wins, we're fighting him in Mexico. And, you know, I love that. If Berlanga wins, we got big fights ahead of him. And if Shiraz wins, we could look at Canelo. So this is great.
I don't have a problem with that. I know fighters don't like to look past their current opponents, and that's their job,
But the
right?
promoter can.
But in boxing, we always complain about not having a schedule on what's next. So that's a great thing implemented in the sport. And joining us now, Ring Zone, Mike Coinger.
What's up, Cop?
How's it going, guys?
Good.
How are you?
Thank you.
Good to have you on with us. Listen, Mike, we're talking about the Ring's historic events. Obviously, what we saw in London against Ben and Chris Eubank Jr., amazing, right? Times Square, just his historic venue in itself. And now we're at Louis Armstrong Stadium. Talk to me about the vision that His Excellency is showing.
Yeah, I think with this one, like he said, right, these are action fights. And it's not just Edgar Berlanga and Hamzah Sheeraz. And they talked a great game up there. Shiraz really gave it back to him. I was impressed. But Shakur Stevenson, William Zepeda, and the two fights that weren't here today, I loved both fights. We have Subriel Matias, one of the best action fighters in all of boxing, against Alberto Puello. Obviously, great matchup there. You have a boxer versus a puncher, pressure fighter, Matias, and the light heavyweight fight. David Morrell, first fight off of that loss to David Benavidez. He showed really well in that fight, and he's going to fight Iman Katayev, who's another puncher, fights with Artur Beterbiev in his camp, and I think it's going to be a great fight.
Of course, but what does it feel like working with Ring Magazine now?
Say again?
What does it feel like working with Ring Magazine now?
It's been great. It's been a pleasure to work for His Excellency and for the Ring Magazine. And again, I know that the fights on May 2nd weren't what we wanted, but we're doing our best here, and I think we're putting our best foot forward with different stages and different fights. And I think this is going to be the best card yet.
I think the only thing with that was that I thought it was going to be on all of the screens. I thought it was going to be on the big jumbotrons, and I thought that would have been so big for New York. So that's where it kind of failed right there for me. But as far as historic, it doesn't matter. It was still in Times Square. So to me, I loved it.
Right. Let's talk about Shakur Stevenson. A lot of people are saying that this is probably going to be his toughest test. Look, he's been in there with some great fights. Oscar Valdez to unify the 130-pound. He's fought real credible opponents and champions. But because of Zepeda's style, would you agree that maybe this is something he's never seen before with the volume of punching?
Absolutely. I think Zepeda is not only a better fighter than Oscar Valdez, but he's much fresher and he's a lot bigger. That fight was at 126 pounds with Valdez. This is at 135. Zepeda's a big guy, and I look at the volume he brings, the body punching he brings, and also the aggressiveness. And I know it's not a perfect comparison, but I look at that Floyd Mayweather-Marcos Maidana fight, and I think if William Zepeda can fight that style, cut the ring off, throw with volume, not easy against a guy like Shakur, obviously, to throw with volume, and make it an ugly fight on the inside, he can win this fight.
What do you say about what Eddie said on the podium there with, you know, Shakur being at number 3 in the lightweights and Tank being at number 1, Keyshawn Davis being at number 2? What's your take on that?
I think we have to say Gervonta Davis, whether you like him or love him, he's clearly the best lightweight in the world as far as accomplishments goes in resume. Now, you can certainly argue that Shakur Stevenson should be 2 ahead of Keyshawn Davis. I wouldn't have a problem with that, but I don't think you can argue that Gervonta Davis does not deserve his top spot.
Oh, and you're saying that because Shakur has accomplished a lot, but at 126 and 130
Absolutely.
and not lightweight, right?
135, Gervonta Davis has been there for years. I know he's coming off of that draw with Lamont Roach, but he didn't officially lose the fight. I think it's hard to drop him from that top spot. And they're going to have a rematch August 16th, so we'll see what happens there. That's after this fight, obviously. But you heard what Shakur Stevenson said. We want to see Shakur Stevenson and Gervonta Davis, and he's going to have to get past Zepeda first.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I like about His Excellency is that he already tells you what the future plans are. So do you think that that's a good thing in boxing, or just hiding it and keeping it a secret like they used to?
I think it's a great thing in boxing. You see all the success that Dana White and the UFC have had with fights leading to other fights. And I think it's good to have some sort of plan in place. Obviously, if the results don't go the way you think they're going to go, you can't just barrel through with those plans.
What I say about that is that we have to promote the fighters equally, sort of. You know what I mean? And don't just overlook the guys like Rolly or something like that. But I love that because it gives us something to look forward to.
Yeah, I don't think any one of us thought that Rolly was going to pull it off. I think a lot of people thought he would be very competitive, but he pulled it off, and hats off to Rolly, and let's see what he does next, too.
Yeah, speaking of looking forward to, look, obviously those two matchups aren't the only one on the card. Let's look at the entire fight card here. Look, obviously Tsumi is making his return. No opponent yet, but David Morrell, look, you talked about it, Mike, his outing against Benavidez, very competitive fight, but he's fighting Kataev, who's a real puncher, really aggressive fighter, which makes for a great matchup. Obviously, Alberto Puello, who is a boxer but also likes to engage. We saw that against Gary Russell Jr., against Subriel Matias, who once was the boogeyman, right? I mean, he took that loss against Powell, but came back and won. Still, obviously, a very dangerous opponent. So that's going to be another barn burner. And obviously, Shakur Stevenson in a lightweight showdown, WBC, against Zepeda, and Edgar Berlanga versus Hamzah Sheeraz in a title eliminator for the WC. Look, super entertaining card. I mean, from top to bottom, you don't want to miss any of those fights.
I think all of these is going to be entertaining, but I think more so it's kind of almost evenly matched. Like, I understand Shakur is one of the best in the world, but they're all dangerous fights that the A side can lose. Do you agree?
Absolutely. And again, we know that the fights on May 2nd didn't go. You live up to the hype with the action. I think this one can't disappoint.
No way.
Especially that Morrell-Kataev fight. If people haven't seen Kataev, like you said, he's a big puncher. He's rugged. That fight he had against Palacios on the undercard of, I think it was Tim Tszyu last time out, that was a hell of a fight. So I think Kataev, people are going to be impressed by him. Obviously, Morrell's the favorite for a reason. But I think this also continues that trend that we saw on May 2nd, where guys are coming off losses and they're going thrown right into the fire.
Mike, who would you say is the most likely to probably upset his opponent, upset the favorite?
I think I have to go Subriel Matias. I know Alberto Puello's been in really good form. We saw him against Sandor Martin, who's a tricky fighter. Matias, again, you said he was the boogeyman. He doesn't have that status anymore. But we've seen when he comes with the volume and he cuts the ring off, he's a bad man, and he can punch, too.
That was an easy question. That one could go either way. That was easy. But I think Matias, he was called a boogeyman a little bit too premature.
That's fair.
Give it some time. Give it some time. Let him really hurt people. Let him really get big names and then call him a boogeyman, right?
Yeah, and look, I think, and I'm guilty of this as well in boxing, but I think we overrate fighters, we underrate fighters, and Matias is probably not as good as we all said he was before, and he's definitely not as bad as people are saying he is now.
Right. That's the thing. Look, just because you don't look great in your last fight, you shouldn't go to the bottom of the totem pole, but he is still dangerous and deadly.
And this is what you're going to get every time with him. He will not stop. I spoke to him personally. He said, listen, I don't really care about too much boxing skill or ability. I want to stay on you every second of the fight. And most guys can't deal with that, Mike.
That's good and bad, but for the crowd, that's great. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you guys are both right. A lot of guys can't really deal with that pressure. You have to have physical strength, too, which Puello definitely has. Certainly, no one was picking Paro. We see Paro outboxing Matias here. But Matias got his big shots in there, too. It wasn't like it was just a landslide. And I know Matias is hungry.
He was hurt. He was definitely hurt. But it was a little too late.
No, I mean, I think fights like this, Matias against Puello, is what's going to really warm the fans up. They're going to be excited here at Louis Armstrong Stadium. Well, I want to talk about what Edgar Berlanga, and it's funny we have him on the screen here. He was talking about Canelo already, rematch, right? Look, obviously, His Excellency is doing a great job in letting the fans know what's ahead, right? Like, boxing is the only sport that doesn't have a schedule like other sports, so he's doing his best in order to do that. But the fighters are the ones that maybe shouldn't think too much ahead, right? And what's in front of them. He's already thinking rematch Canelo. Is that a mistake?
Yeah, and I also don't think anyone wants to see a rematch with him and Canelo. He definitely did better than anyone expected, certainly me, but that's not a fight I want to see. I want to see Berlanga against Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant might be fighting Jamal Charlo later this year. The winner of that fight, the loser of that fight, maybe even David Morrell at 175. Berlanga's a big guy. Yeah. I don't think Canelo is a fight that we're going to be seeing.
There are a lot of good fights at 168 for Berlanga. I agree with you.
I think Cop is right. Like, that's the thing. You can win here, beat Shiraz, but that's not a name that probably can get you right back in talks with Canelo. I think, if he fights maybe the winner of Caleb Plant and Jamal Charlo, then that right there, if he beats one of them, that's great.
And it's safe to say that this is in my opinion, Edgar's biggest task, right? At Shiraz's size, the way he's able to use the jab, he showed it against Ammo Williams. Very skilled fighter. I mean, he has his moments where maybe he'll lack a little bit, but it's safe to say that this is a tough test for Edgar Berlanga.
This is a coin flip fight. It's funny. I see a lot of people saying Berlanga's going to knock him out early. I see a lot of people saying that Shiraz is going to play with Berlanga. Yeah. And again, like we said earlier, this continues the trend. I know Shiraz didn't officially lose to Adames, but a lot of people thought he lost. It was a draw, and he's going right into a tough fight, and in his first fight at 168. So I love this fight. And I think it's a deserving main event. I know there's 2 main events, but I think this fight does deserve to go last.
I don't want to give...
For the action sake or what? Because Shakur's accomplished so much, so you understand his argument.
Yeah, well, I think it's the action.
Yeah.
You know, this is entertainment, and...
If that's the case, Perlo and Matisse maybe should be...
Yeah. I mean, what about what Hamzah Sheeraz is going to have to deal with coming to New York City, fighting in Edgar's hometown? That's also a hurdle.
I think it's clear that Hamzah Sheeraz is a mature guy. I don't think he's the kind of guy, just from talking to him, that's going to be rattled by this sort of thing. And I think he has a lot to prove, right? He's coming off of that, again, draw, but a lot of people think it's a loss. It looks like a loss to Carlos Adames. And he's a guy that's really been built up here to be a star. He has to win this fight.
Okay, but who do you think has the most pressure? You got Shiraz, who His Excellency is rooting for, basically wants you to win, so maybe you could fight Canelo. Or Berlanga, this is your hometown. Everybody here is expecting you to win.
I think Shiraz has the pressure because Berlanga, he already has the good feeling for himself that he faced Canelo and did better than people thought he would. Yeah. He has the bigger name right now, especially in New York and in the United States. I think Hamzah Sheeraz, he wants to shake off that draw with Carlos Adames and prove that he is what everyone said he was.
Yeah. Also, with Shakur Stevenson, it seems like he has a bit of a chip on his shoulder, right?
Sure.
They complimented him, compared him to the greats. He said, listen, that's cool and all, but I want to show the people I'm still going to put the work I need to put in to show the people that I'm the best fighter in the world. He's also, him and Eddie, not too happy about the Ring Magazine's rankings. Are we going to get the version of Shakur that he says we're going to get, the best version of him?
I think he's going to be on his game like he always is, but we need action. And I'm not saying that's standing there and trade and exchange with a puncher like Zepeda and be stupid, but it's just committing to your punches a bit more. We can't have a repeat of May 2nd, right? We need action in that fight, and Zepeda is going to bring the action, and Shakur has promised to bring action this time, so I think we need to see that from Shakur.
Shakur has, look, I'm not comparing Padley to Zepeda, right? But he showed more offensive action than we've seen as of late.
There you go. You got to give him that.
But that was against Josh Padley.
It doesn't matter. It was offense.
Coming off a win.
And that's what we're trying to see.
Padley was coming off a win. He was a live dog.
Josh Padley is several levels below William Zepeda. Let's call a spade a spade. And that's no disrespect to Josh Padley. He took the fight on 2 days' notice. It's not Shakur's fault that Floyd Schofield pulled out. Right. And Shakur did get the stoppage, and he delivered. But on this stage, I want to see him.
Barack, and that's the thing about Shakur that I feel like he doesn't get enough credit. Like, he wanted the fight against Schofield, right? He's also petitioned for a lot of fights. He wanted to fight Pitbull Cruz at one point. He wanted those fights that people want to see and doesn't always get them. So he's a guy that wants the fights that the people want.
I agree with that. I don't think Shakur's scared of anybody. He's an incredible talent. People could say he's the most talented fighter in boxing, perhaps.
Right, but I'm saying that if you stop Herring and you beat up Oscar Valdez...
It's about Jamel Herring and Oscar Valdez.
No, listen to what I'm saying. You stop them and you beat up Valdez, right? And then you hurt your hand against a very, very good fighter, and you beat a very good fighter with one hand. It's not like you don't want to fight. It's that you couldn't throw both hands. That's all it was.
There was no broken hands. Again, maybe he had a hurt hand. I'm not saying he didn't, but... The fight after that against Nanya, and also that was not the most exciting fight. So he's very outspoken.
But you got to win. It doesn't have to be exciting.
This is showbiz. Like Edgar Berlanga said, this is entertainment.
But you want to know if your fighter won, though.
That's the most important thing.
He dominates. He doesn't have close fights.
But if you want to be the biggest star, if you want to be on a star like Gervonta Davis, you have to bring the action like Gervonta Davis.
But at the end of the day, what's best? Win or be a star?
Both.
What's
I think being a star is best. This is showbiz.
No. Because if you don't win, you can't be a star.
You need to do both. Manny Pacquiao lost 8 times.
I get Mike's point.
But he won so many, though.
He did.
The biggest stage. He won.
Both guys are going to have an opportunity on July 12th to really, and obviously Shakur to show that. All right. Thanks, Mike, for joining us. Appreciate
Thanks,
the
guys.
time, man.
Appreciate it.
Talk to you soon. All right, DAZN is not only the global leader in boxing, it's also an official global broadcaster for the 2025 FIFA Club World Cup, which will feature 32 of the world's top football clubs. Teams from Europe, Asia, and the Americas, Africa, and Oceanias will compete for the coveted Club World Championship title.
Greatness comes to DAZN this summer. The world's best players will be summoned together to decide the greatest club on earth.
Vinicius, great chance to score.
Goats will battle Wonder Kids. Fire will meet ice. From Boca to Bayern, PSG to Palmeiras, 32 clubs from across the globe will compete to be crowned
Rodrigo, what a strike that was.
world champion. And this summer, Haaland won't be watching from home, but you can, on DAZN. In every country in the world. FIFA Club World Cup. Watch on DAZN from the 14th of June.
The big fights keep coming on DAZN. Richardson Hitchens is set to defend his IBF Super Lightweight Championship title against former unified champion George Kambosos Jr. on June 14th at the Theater at Madison Square Garden in New York City. Then the return of the problem child, Jake Paul, versus Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. in Anaheim, June 28th. Then July 19th, a doubleheader. It's in Wembley Stadium. Alexander Usyk versus Daniel Dubois for the rematch and for the undisputed heavyweight title. And on that same day, Bam Rodriguez making his return to the ring for the first time in 2025, taking on Palomema Cafu in a unification fight in Dallas, Texas. Barack, I'm excited about Ring 3, July. I love the
Ring
venue.
3, I love it.
I love
it.
I love where they changed the venue to. Everybody's going to have an amazing seat.
Yes.
That time, I do feel that Shakur has a chip on his shoulder. I do agree with Mike. I think this is probably going to be Shakur's toughest test, but I think he will prevail. Obviously, Edgar Berlanga versus Hamzah Sheeraz. It's a toss-up fight. Look, Edgar is the favorite going into this fight, I believe, but I think he has a tough test ahead of him. Yeah. I'm excited, but the entire card is going to be a phenomenal night of boxing.
Yeah, it's definitely a stacked card, but we're used to that with Ring right now. We're used to these big names on the card. But this particular card is different because everybody's in a dangerous fight. Yeah. Shakur's in a dangerous fight, arguably the best fight of his career because undefeated guy, 27 knockouts. He's just action-packed all night. And then when you talk about Shiraz, if you coming off of a draw that people say you lost, the next person has to pay for that. And that's how he's coming into this. And then the pressure is His Excellency wants him to win, you know, in order to get Canelo. So if I'm saying that's the guy that's in front of Canelo, I'm going to come hard. But Berlanga's like, this is my hometown. You hear what he says? This is my ish. This is what he's saying. This is my stuff right here. I have to win. You know what it's like? Getting beat up in front of your mother? Well, you know what it's like. I don't know. But you know what it's like. That's freaking crazy.
It's never happened.
I'm joking. But Berlanga is going to come 100% because this is his hometown.
Yeah, but even before those two fights, the entire card, I love David Morrell coming back after the Benavidez fight. Obviously, Matias, he's trying to prove to the world I'm still one of the boogeymen in the division against Puello. Look, you have to be there from the very beginning. From Susumi on, because it's going to be an entire night of action-packed
boxing. And speaking of Susumi, he had a hard fight for his first fight, so you know it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, no, I'm excited about it. And what's to come? His Excellency's talking about these fights are very pivotal, like they're very important, and they're going to affect boxing in the next 6 to 8 months, next 12 months. And that's what you want. You want to know what's coming ahead.
The next fight is on the Brooklyn Bridge. I'm telling you, that's how His Excellency does it. He's crazy. Like, he'll have it anywhere.
I mean, look, he's talked about, you know, fights in prisons. And
I love it.
All over the world.
I love it.
This is what the sport needs, this excitement. But it's not only about the venue. Not only about the venues, but also the matchups. Also coming up this weekend on DAZN Friday, ex-UFC fighter squares in the ring off against Darren Till. Faces Darren Stewart in a headline of Misfits 21 live from Derby, England. Then Saturday, a heavyweight rematch between Johnny Fisher and Dave Allen at the Copper Box Arena in London. Enjoy the hostilities. Peace and love. Stay safe. We're out of here.
Listen up, let's have it. You know you've always got your eye on the prize, the championship belt. And why wouldn't you? You're a finely tuned, well-oiled boxing watching machine, capable of consuming over 185 fights on DAZN every year.
We've gone big, we've gone global.
Churning through combinations, comebacks, and non-stop knockouts.
Are you going to take?
With big fights every week, you're the best in the world. So go on, get that belt, champ. DAZN, undisputed.